Let's talk about Kimmel and Colbert doing a little home and away last night, each giving the other their story of cancellation or near cancellation. I just love what Jimmy Kimmel posted. Be sure to watch No Talent Jimmy Kimmel on Colbert and Very Boring Stephen Colbert on Kimmel in Brooklyn simultaneously tonight. That's funny. All right, let's talk about what really happened here with. And by the way, in the conversation that they had, Stephen Colbert said that his manager, James Baby Doll Dixon. Everybody hears about Baby Doll. Bill Simmons talks about Baby Doll. Baby Doll is a big comedy manager, handles Kimmel, he handles Colbert, he handles Jon Stewart. Anyway, Baby Doll said, I need 15 minutes in person with you after the show on Wednesday. And Colbert says, oh, God, Baby Doll doesn't do anything in person. I assume he just calls everybody Baby Doll. Hey, Baby Doll, like an old, booby, like Boobala. Hey, Boobala. Anyway, Baby Doll goes and tells him they're canceling the show. Bing, and he thought, Stephen called his wife and said, I'll be there in, 15 minutes late tonight. And when he got home 2.5 hours late, Mrs. Colbert, his wife, said, what happened? You get canceled? And he said, well, come to think of it, yeah, I did. And then Jimmy told the story that he was about an hour and a half before the show. He gets a call from Disney executives, and they say, we're really worried about the temperature's hot right now. We're worried about what you're going to say tonight, Jimmy. We think that the best way to go is to just step off the air. And Kimmel was like, what are you talking about? The audience is in their seats. I got to tell my staff. And so awkwardness of awkwardness, he did. They sent everybody home. And Jimmy said it was like getting a DUI in Los Angeles. 3 days, in the slammer, and you can't say anything. So, they did a little, I'll give you my story, you give me yours, and we'll do it on each other's show. They didn't used to do this back in the, Letterman and Leno did not used to go on each other's shows. There's so much kumbaya now. Anyway, about the Kimmel quick suspension and even quicker reinstatement, did Disney executives, why did they do it? Did they have like a moral epiphany? Did they see a threat to free speech and take a stand for the greater good? Did a lot of their, big stars that work with them raise a stink? I'm sure all of that is true, a little at least. But the main reason is they saw subscription cancellations to Disney Plus from the MAGA faithful who don't just gripe online, they actually watch stuff. Now, add to them the free speech crowd. Julia Alexander from Puck News uncovered the churn rate for Disney Plus and Hulu during the first 5 days of Jimmy's sidelining. It was nearly 6 times higher than before he was bounced. So this is according to Yipit, a data firm that uses credit card transactions and browser cookies to track consumer activity. Past subscription cancellation events like Netflix founder Reed Hastings, it was discovered he made a $7 million donation to Kamala Harris, for which we can call him Reed Wastings, and the hypersexualized marketing poster of 11-year-old girls from the film Cuties on Netflix. It was about, those two events were about half as damaging as the Kimmel cancellation when it comes to subscriptions. Disney Plus cannot afford churn like the others. It ranks like last among the big streamers. Hulu's a little bit better, but still ranks lower than Paramount Plus. And Julia points out, if this wasn't football season, the Kimmel churn would have been way worse. But it seems like the biggest issue for Disney is it's getting increasingly harder to stay mainstream in an increasingly divided America. They're always caught up in the culture wars, and some sort of statement or position is expected from this heritage cultural behemoth, and they seem to struggle with that. I can think of 5 examples here. Disney's response to Florida's Don't Say Gay law about leaving, gender talk out of schools. Initially, the then CEO Bob Chapek declined to take a position, saying, these positions are often weaponized by one side or the other to further divide and inflame. Correct. But it doesn't get you out of it. They still want something from Disney. He then reversed after that statement, which was sort of a non-statement, and he was like, look, we treasure our LGBTQ plus employees. We value them. We love you. We'll now listen more. We blah, blah, blah. it brought back Bob Iger. Another problem they had, polar opposite COVID safety protocols in Disneyland in Southern California versus Disney World in Florida. In California, it's like you can't have more than 3 groups together. Masks have to be worn by everybody 2 years or older. You have to have 6 feet of... And in Florida, Disney World was like, yeah, open spaces, you're all good. Well, when you're a big company and of course, all of your people matter, like you can't have separate rules in separate places. Remember the firing of Gina Carano over her social media posts comparing treatment of American conservatives in this country to that of Jews in Nazi Germany. I mean, a big statement, of course, but also claims of voter fraud, right? They immediately moved on her. She got defended, not just publicly, but financially by Elon Musk. Well, they ended up settling and putting out a very favorable statement to Gina. We love her. We hope to work with her in the future. You don't want to go up against Musk. And then there's the retheming of Splash Mountain. Okay? Splash Mountain, just a legendary ride at Disney World based on the 1946 film Song of the South, deemed by the mob to have deep racial undertones. So they added a black princess. They announced it in 2020 post George Floyd. We're going to do this. And then 4 years later, when Trump is roaring back and they've already missed the window, the construction took so long, they've got Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And that opens, like I said, during Trump 2.0. And it opens in all their locations. Goodbye, Splash. Hello, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, except in Tokyo. Well, why not in Tokyo? You can still keep Splash Mountain in Tokyo. You see, same thing as the COVID thing. And then you got Snow White and the 7 Little People, right? They decided we're going to use CGI because we just don't want to, we don't want to objectify the little people. The little people are going, well, wait a minute. We don't get the rom-com roles. We need these parts. There's 7 of them, and they're prominent. So that backfires. It just seems like, and by the way, I didn't even mention the $15 million payment to Trump. Disney is focused on the money, and I get that. They've got shareholders to answer to, right? The money, the portfolio. They'd prefer not to have to take a position on cultural and political events. They're so obsessed with minimizing risk and maximizing profit, they would take any position if it improved revenue and stock price. They often take a position, the finger is to the wind, and then, holy crap, that didn't work. You got to reverse. In fairness, they are asked a lot of. We look to Disney all the time. We want them to reflect our values, but our values are divided, right? There is no win here. So the answer to it is you got to be a little bit more like Ted Sarandos at Netflix. Follow your convictions. He stood by Dave Chappelle and thus all creators against the LGBTQ plus lobby and even Netflix employees who were calling for Dave Chappelle's comedy to be canceled, to be pulled from Netflix. And Sarandos was swift and said, absolutely not. I'm not getting involved in that. That's his choice, and it stays on the platform. You know what? Couple days, dies down, it goes on. Maybe it's harder for Disney. I mean, Netflix is new, still very new, and Disney's over 100 years old. So what happens to Kimmel now? Well, his contract is up in May. I would tell old baby doll to negotiate now. Get it done, right while while it's hot. Or if not, walk away on your own terms so, Trump doesn't take credit for killing you in the end, for winning. You got to do it on your own.